You're too tired, Dad. It's time to let the next generation take over. That's what my oldest son said, right at the dinner table. Mashed potatoes still warm. Turkey half carved. He looked me dead in the eye, like he was doing me a favor. I laughed. Quietly. Not because it was funny, because I knew what was coming. They thought I was done. Old. Worn out. A used-up engine leaking oil in the driveway. You've earned your rest, my daughter added. Like I was being put out to pasture. So I nodded. Smiled. And handed them the keys to the business I built with my own 2 hands. They were so proud. So sure. They didn't ask what I'd do next. Didn't care. But while they were busy taking care of things, I was out back in the garage, with a notebook full of ideas nobody ever asked about. Just me, some late nights, and 20 years of being underestimated. I didn't say a word. But when the orders started flooding in, someone did knock on my door. Dad, can we talk? I poured a drink. Looked him dead in the eye. And said. Retirement wasn't supposed to feel like exile. I always pictured it like the commercials, sitting on a deck, coffee in hand, maybe fixing up the truck I never had time for. Instead, it felt like I'd been pushed off a cliff in slow motion. It started with little things. Let me handle this invoice, Dad, my son Caleb said one morning. You've earned a break. I didn't argue. Just stepped aside and watched him fumble through QuickBooks like it was a foreign language. But I bit my tongue. You have to. That's what dads do. 41 years I'd been running the business. HVAC and small appliance repair, nothing flashy, but honest. Paid off the house, kept food on the table, put both kids through school. Didn't take vacations. Didn't upgrade my tools unless they broke. I used to joke that my wrench set would outlive me. Back then, the office was the garage. We'd take calls from a landline and write down addresses on the back of junk mail. I still have those scraps in a shoebox under my bench. Now everything's online. Apps. Dashboards. Digital scheduling. Which is funny, because Caleb still asked me where we kept the extra extension cords. Same place they've been since 1996, I said. Oh, he muttered. Right. The real shift happened at Thanksgiving. We were at my daughter Lily's house. She's the organized one. Puts labels on the fridge shelves. Made place cards for the table like we were hosting a wedding. Everything looked perfect, except my chair. The one I always sat in. It wasn't there. Where's my spot? I asked, half smiling. Oh, she said, we thought you might want the softer chair by the fireplace. They gave that seat to Uncle Mike. A man who once lit our garage on fire with a deep fryer. I sat down quietly in a corner and told myself it didn't matter. But then came the family talk. Caleb stood up, holding a glass of wine like he was giving a toast. Lily joined him. They'd rehearsed this, I could tell. Dad, we've been thinking, he said. Red flag. You've been working hard for decades. We think it's time you step back. Really rest. Let us take care of things now. I didn't say anything. Lily jumped in, all smiles. You've always told us to work for what we believe in. Well, we believe in this company, too. It's our legacy now. Our legacy. I kept chewing. Turkey, dry as drywall. You're not mad, are you? She asked. Course not, I said. But I was. Not furious. Not heartbroken. Just, tired. The kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. They thought they were helping me. But what they really wanted was control. And they thought I wouldn't notice. After that, I stopped going into the office. I'd still get calls from old clients who had my number saved. "Is this Earl?" they'd ask. "Yep," I'd say. "Still kicking." "Well, can you come by?" "Your boy came last time. Charged us double and left the AC leaking." I'd offer to fix it myself. Quietly. But I knew that wouldn't last. The worst part? I missed it. Missed the grind. Missed the smell of engine grease on my hands. Missed solving things no one else could. I tried walking the dog more. Tried reading. Even watched those cooking shows people always talk about. But every time I opened the garage door and looked at my workbench, something pulled me back. One night I sat down with an old notebook, one I used to scribble in between jobs. Diagrams. Product ideas. A heat-efficient motor for dryers. A self-diagnosing unit for fridges. Pages of ideas. None of my kids ever asked about them. Then came the mortgage envelope. Not mine, Caleb's. It was sitting on the kitchen counter when he and his wife came over. They talked loud, didn't notice I was standing in the doorway. "I told him we're 6 months behind," she whispered. "He won't let us go under," Caleb said. "He'll help. He always does." That was the first time I realized how deep they'd gotten. And how fast they expected me to save them. I went back out to the garage that night. Flipped through the notebook again. And this time, I didn't stop at the sketches. I opened my laptop. Created an email. Reached out to a guy I used to subcontract with who now worked overseas. "Still got contacts in Tokyo?" He replied in 5 minutes. That's when things started moving. I set up the business in silence. No investors. No social media posts. No family dinners with big announcements. Just me, the garage, and an old coffee pot that wheezed like a dying cat. My wife, God bless her, thought it was a hobby. "Nice to see you building again," she said. I just smiled. Filed for the LLC under a different name. Didn't want any of the kids tracing it back. Started slow, one prototype at a time. Sent out samples. Fixed the design. Reached out to local shops and quietly built a mailing list. Month by month, it grew. 6 months in, I had a waitlist. 8 months in, an influencer, some tech guy with a YouTube channel and a beard like a lumberjack, reviewed one of my units. He called it the smartest appliance add-on I've ever seen. Sales tripled that week. But I still didn't say a word. Not even when Lily texted, "Dad, business is harder than we thought. Can we meet up soon?" I left her on read. Then one night, Caleb showed up unannounced. Looked worse than I'd ever seen him. "Dad, can we talk?" I didn't say anything. Just poured myself a drink. He followed me into the garage and finally noticed the shelves. The boxes. The setup. "What is this?" he asked. I turned back to the laptop. "The supplier from Tokyo is calling," I said. Then I looked him in the eye. I thought I was too tired to work. They used to call me the guy who could fix anything. Water heater, window unit, microwave, you name it, I'd take it apart and put it back together better than before. Folks around town knew me by name. My kids used to brag about it. Now I was, "Dad, can you just go sit down for a bit?" That's what Lily said when I offered to help at the office last fall. I brought a box of old invoices to show how I used to organize the service calls. Thought it might help. "Thanks," she said, not even looking up from her laptop. "But we use Trello now." I didn't know what Trello was. Still don't care. She shoved the box aside like it was junk mail. Then Caleb came in, didn't even say hi. "We're pitching to an investor today," he said, straightening his tie in the window glass. "Try to keep things simple, all right?" Simple. I asked. You know, he said, waving a hand. Don't get too into the weeds. I wasn't invited to the meeting. Sat in the hallway and drank stale coffee from a chipped mug I'd brought from the old shop. Still had my name sharpened on the side. After the pitch, they came out all smiles. Big potential, Caleb said. They want to see numbers. Serious numbers. I waited for them to ask me about our books. About the clients I used to service, the ones who still called me directly. They didn't. On the drive home, I asked if they wanted help running projections. Caleb just said, Dad, we're trying to modernize. That word again. Modernize. What it really meant was, get out of the way. I stopped offering after that. But I didn't stop watching. 1 week later, a longtime customer texted me a photo of their broken water heater. Said the guy who came out from my company, my name still on the trucks, told them it was unfixable. Quoted them for a brand new system. I called her back. Told her to hold off. Drove over myself the next morning, crawled under the house, and fixed it in 40 minutes flat. She tried to pay me. I told her to keep the money. Told her just to post a review. 2 days later, the website had a brand new policy: all appointments must go through management. Right. So they could control the damage. I stopped answering the work line after that. Changed the voicemail to say it was out of service. But I kept going. Late nights in the garage. Quiet mornings at the coffee shop reviewing suppliers. My wife thought I was building a hobby business. I didn't correct her. She'd been through enough. She still defended the kids, said they were just finding their way. Finding their way with my name, my business, and my customers. Must be nice. One afternoon, I dropped by the new office to drop off a tool I thought they might need. The front desk girl didn't recognize me. Do you have an appointment? She asked. I just stood there. Then I saw it. The framed photo behind her desk. A shot of Caleb and Lily, arms crossed, standing in front of one of the trucks. The logo on the side had been altered. Still my business name. But my name? They'd shrunk it. Barely visible under the new slogan they'd printed, a fresh face for the future. That hit like a punch to the gut. I left the tool on the counter and walked out without a word. Later that night, Caleb texted. You didn't have to just drop by. We're slammed this week. I replied with a thumbs up emoji. Figured that was modern enough for him. I was angry. Sure. But more than that, I was embarrassed. Not just by them. By myself. For stepping aside. For thinking they respected the work I'd done. For believing that just because they were family, they'd act like it. I sat in the garage until midnight, tinkering with the prototype for my compact heat exchanger. Something I'd drawn up 10 years ago and never had time to build. That night, I finished it. Next morning, I filmed a quick demo. Just my hands and the product. No voice, no face. Uploaded it to a private channel. Sent the link to a few repair forums. A couple old colleagues. By the end of the week, the video had 30,000 views. Then someone emailed asking to buy one. That was the day I opened up orders. Quietly. No press release. No website splash page. Just a basic form and a PayPal link. It felt like lighting a match in a pitch-black room. And people noticed. Orders started slow. 1 or 2 a day. Then 10. Then 20. Mostly technicians and small shops. Word of mouth spread. At one point, I saw someone on Reddit call it the kind of tool you'd expect from someone who's actually done the work. That stuck with me. I printed it out and taped it above the workbench. Then came a call I didn't expect. Lily. Hey, Dad. Any chance you could help us with a new client pitch? They're old school. Might like your vibe. I nearly dropped the phone. You want me to sit in? Well, just maybe help us prep, she said, voice a little too light. Just background stuff. I told her I'd think about it. Then hung up and went back to packing orders. That same day, I got a request from a regional distributor. Wanted to carry my product in stores across 4 states. Asked if I could scale production. I laughed out loud. Because not even 12 hours earlier, my own daughter had asked me to help with their pitch. And now some stranger wanted to partner with me. I didn't answer Lily's message. Instead, I poured another cup of coffee, turned up the radio, and printed out another batch of shipping labels. I used to think my time was over. Now I had more work than I could handle. 2 weeks before Christmas, they changed the locks. Didn't tell me. Didn't warn me. Just swapped them out like I was a tenant who'd skipped rent. I drove over to the office with a box of old client files I thought might help. Paper records. Service history going back years. Nobody wants to admit it, but half the problems in this business start with forgetting what was done last time. When I got there, my key didn't work. I jiggled it, tried again. Then tried the back door. Nothing. Inside, I could hear voices, laughter, music. Somebody was decorating a tree. I knocked. Loud. Silence. The receptionist peeked through the glass, hesitated, then opened the door halfway. Hi, Mr. Dawson. I think Caleb's in a meeting. I just need to drop this off, I said, holding up the box. She didn't move. I think you should maybe call first next time. That was it. I stood there, on the porch of a building I paid for, with a box full of history they didn't even want. Caleb came out a minute later, smiling like nothing happened. Hey, didn't know you were coming by. You changed the locks. Oh. Yeah, we meant to call. Security upgrade. Security from who? I asked. He didn't answer. Later that night, Lily called. Dad, don't take it personal. We're just making updates. You locked me out. It's just a space now. You're still part of the family. That last part, that stung worse than the rest. Still part of the family. Like I'd been demoted to honorary member. I didn't say anything. Just hung up. My wife tried to calm me down. Said they were overwhelmed. Said maybe I was reading into it. But deep down, I knew what was happening. They weren't overwhelmed. They were erasing me. Piece by piece. First it was the logo. Then the policies. Then my clients. Then the locks. All while smiling through family dinners and calling it progress. And the worst part? They were doing it with pride. Like pushing me out was some kind of promotion. The breaking point came 3 days before Christmas. Family dinner. Our house. Old rules, everyone brings something, phones away at the table. Except this year, they didn't even pretend. Caleb took a call in the middle of grace. Lily spent half the meal tapping her screen under the tablecloth. Her husband had the nerve to talk shop with Caleb while I was still carving the roast. Finally, I put the knife down and said, "Can we just have one meal where I'm not invisible?" They all went quiet. Then Caleb laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Dad, no one's ignoring you. You've just stepped back. That's what you wanted, right?" I looked at him, and I swear, for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize my own son. Lily chimed in next. "You always said you wanted more time with Mom. With the house. Now you've got it. Is that what you think I wanted?" I asked. "To sit around waiting to be useful." Caleb shrugged. "You're the one who handed over the keys. That was it. I got up. Walked out. Left my own house and drove around for an hour with no music on. Just the sound of my truck's heater wheezing and my own pulse thudding in my ears. I ended up at the shop. My shop. The garage behind the house where I'd been building my side business for over a year. I opened the door and turned on the lights. Everything was quiet. Neat. Clean. A wall of labeled boxes. An assembly bench. A spreadsheet open on the laptop. 6 orders ready to ship, 2 waiting on inventory. Emails from a distributor in Chicago and a press inquiry from some blog I'd never heard of. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in over a year. Solid. Present. Like I wasn't past tense. The next morning, Caleb showed up. Didn't knock, just let himself into the garage like it was his. "Look, I know yesterday got weird," he said. "But can we talk?" I didn't stop working. Just kept screwing a bracket into place. He walked around, picked up a prototype from the bench. "What is this?" "Something I built." "You made this?" He looked surprised. "Like, all of it?" "Every screw." He turned it over in his hands, still trying to process it. "Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened?" He didn't answer. He sat down on a stool and looked around, finally seeing the setup. "Dad, this is legit." "Yeah. I know." He hesitated, then asked, "How's it doing?" I paused, wiped my hands on a rag. "Well enough that I don't need your advice." That shut him up. He looked hurt. But not guilty. That told me everything. A week later, I got an email from a major home improvement chain. They wanted to talk about shelf space. Said they'd seen the product featured in a trade magazine. I called them back. Set a meeting. Flew out 2 days later. Didn't tell the kids. Didn't even tell my wife. Not until I was boarding. That same week, Caleb posted something on the company's Instagram. A big push for a next-gen HVAC revolution. Had his face plastered all over the ad. The caption read, "Proud to carry on a legacy, and build something even bigger." He had no idea how small he looked in that moment. When I got back, I found an envelope on my porch. A proposal. Caleb and Lily wanted me to invest in their expansion. Said it would honor the Dawson name. I sat at the kitchen table and read every word. Then I poured myself a drink. Walked back to the garage. And started drafting my answer. It was mid-January when I saw the ad. Full-page spread in a local business magazine. There was Caleb, arms crossed, smug as ever, standing in front of the building I used to open at 6 a.m. every day for 40 years. The headline read, "The siblings behind Dawson Climate Solutions, reinventing a legacy." Siblings. Not family. Not partners. Not my kids. Just the siblings. I read the whole article twice. Not once did my name come up. Not in the intro. Not in the quotes. Not even in the timeline of the company's history. They rewrote it. Like I'd never existed. Like they'd built it from the dirt with their own soft hands and business degrees. I felt sick. Actually sick. I walked out to the porch, sat in the cold, and stared at nothing for a long time. My wife brought me tea, but I didn't touch it. She asked what was wrong. I handed her the magazine. She didn't say a word. Just closed it. Took my hand. And sat with me. That night, I didn't go to the garage. I didn't check orders. Didn't read emails. Didn't do anything. I just sat at the kitchen table and stared at the envelope Caleb had left the week before. They wanted funding. From the man they'd erased. The next morning, I opened their proposal again. Line by line. Word by word. Saw every number, every projection, every dreamy little buzzword they'd stuffed into the margins to sound scalable. They needed 50 grand. Said it would solidify our digital pivot. Whatever the hell that meant. I picked up the pen. Thought about writing a check. Then I heard my own voice in my head. Enough. You gave them everything. And they threw dirt over it. Now they want you to dig them out. No. Not this time. I went to the garage. Opened my laptop. Drafted an email to the distributor in Chicago. Told him I was ready to scale up. Hit send. Then I opened another email, from a reporter who'd been following my product for a while. Asked if I'd be open to telling my story. My real story. That night, I called him back. He picked up on the second ring. Is this Mr. Dawson? Yeah. The original one. I told him everything. He listened. Asked the right questions. Said he'd need photos, maybe an old invoice or two. I gave him everything. Even the shoebox with the handwritten service notes. He said the piece would run next month. Big feature. Full spotlight. The timing was perfect. Because the next day, I got the call. Caleb. Sounding rushed. Nervous. Dad, that investor backed out. Said something about your name coming up in a different pitch. I didn't say anything. He kept going. Also, did you talk to a journalist? Yeah, I said. Long silence. You made us look stupid, he said. I laughed. Just once. No, son. You did that all by yourself. 2 days later, Lily came over. She didn't call first. Just showed up. Holding a plate of cookies like it was still Christmas. Can we talk? I let her in. She sat at the table, eyes big and watery like when she was a kid and broke the neighbor's window. We messed up, she said. You think? We didn't mean to cut you out. You took my name off your website. It wasn't personal. It was mine. She looked down at her hands. We need help, Dad. I stood up. Walked to the garage. Left the door open behind me. She followed. She saw the shelves. The boxes. The posters. The awards I'd quietly started getting from industry groups. She saw the whiteboard with sales numbers that tripled theirs. She saw the life I'd built when they shoved me out of the old one. Then she saw the corkboard on the wall. Front and center, the magazine ad of her and Caleb. I'd written one word on it in red Sharpie. Erased. She stared at it for a long time. I didn't know, she whispered. Didn't care to, I said. That shut her up. She left without another word. The article ran the following Monday. Front page of a national trades magazine. Headline, The Man They Pushed Out, How a Retired Tech Built the Year's Smartest HVAC Brand from a Garage. Photo of me, arms crossed, in front of my workbench. Not smiling. Not performing. Just standing. Inside was a full interview. Timeline. Pictures of the original shop. Photos of my kids, back when they were still kids. When they used to look up to me, not past me. By noon, my inbox was full. Retailers. Suppliers. People asking if I'd speak at conferences. And one message from a lawyer. Asking if I knew that my children had recently filed to change the company's name. To Dawson Innovations. No mention of me. They were trying to cut the last thread. That's when I made the decision. No more quiet. No more polite. No more stepping back. I wasn't going to save them. I was going to outbuild them. Monday. Revenge doesn't start with shouting. It starts with silence. The kind that stretches for days. The kind that makes people nervous. They thought I'd made my move when the article came out. They didn't know that was just the warm-up. The real work started after that. Because now, I wasn't just surviving. I was planning. Every night, I sat in the garage with a legal pad and a pen. Old school. Like me. One page for ideas. One for names. And one for all the things they took. Control. Credit. My name. I wanted it back. All of it. But I didn't want to take them down with a speech. I wanted to bury them with results. That meant playing a little dirty. And playing smart. I called up Tim Delaney. Used to work for me back in '04. Best repair tech I ever trained. The kind of guy who could diagnose a busted furnace by the sound it made from across the room. He picked up on the first ring. Earl. Holy hell, man. You alive? More than ever, I said. I asked if he still had his tools. He laughed. Never stopped using them. I told him I had a job. Who's the client? He asked. You'll know when we get there. Next I called Rosa from accounting. She used to do our books before Lily brought in some cloud-based nightmare system with 3 logins and 0 intuition. Rosa still kept everything on paper. Color-coded. Perfect. You starting something new? She asked. Started it 16 months ago. Well damn, Earl. You didn't waste any time. I've been patient long enough. She said she was in. I made her promise not to tell anyone, not even her daughter, who was apparently now married to a guy who worked at Caleb's office. Loose lips, I warned. Get off my phone, she said, laughing. I've kept your tax secrets for 20 years. I'm not about to fold now. Then I filed a trademark. Not for my new product. That was already done. No, I filed for something else. The original company name. The one they were trying to strip down and rebrand like a cheap off-brand cereal. I still owned the rights. They never bothered to check. You'd think if they were gonna slap my name on a banner and parade it around like they built it, they'd at least do the paperwork. But no. All show, no details. Classic. Within 3 weeks, their legal team got the letter. A cease and desist. They couldn't use the original name anymore. I never saw the fallout. But I heard it. From my old receptionist, who still knew everyone. They were in full panic mode, she told me. Phones were off the hook. Someone started crying. I didn't ask who. Didn't matter. Let them sweat. They needed a new name. New branding. New trucks. That alone would bleed them for 30 grand. Maybe more. And while they were busy patching holes, I was building a damn battleship. Tim and I went shop to shop. Old clients. Service calls. Homeowners who remembered the man who used to show up in a rusty van with a clean shirt and a solved problem. They remembered me. We didn't advertise. Didn't need to. Just word of mouth and one simple offer. Better work. Better tools. Better service. And no middlemen. I gave every customer a hand-signed thank you note and a fridge magnet with my new company's name on it. People ate it up. Loyalty isn't bought. It's earned. And they'd forgotten that. While Caleb was chasing LinkedIn likes, I was out here fixing compressors with one hand and booking new contracts with the other. It felt good. More than good. It felt right. Halfway through February, I heard something interesting. The kids were behind on payroll. Apparently, after the rebrand costs and the investor pulling out, they started dipping into emergency funds. Which would have been fine, except that was the emergency fund. They'd also fired 2 techs. One of them called me that same night. "Mr. Dawson," he said. "If you've got room, I'd rather work for the original." I hired him on the spot. Told him to bring his buddy, too. I'd spent a year building this thing quietly. Now it was time to scale. I went to a local networking event. The kind with bad coffee and sad muffins. Stood at the back in a flannel shirt while everyone else wore blazers that didn't fit. Eventually someone asked what I did. I gave them my card. The man raised an eyebrow. "Wait. Are you the Dawson guy?" "I'm the Dawson guy." He grinned. "I've been hearing about you." Then he handed me his own card. Procurement lead for a chain of hardware stores in the tri-state area. Said he'd been trying to find a no BS supplier for months. Asked if I'd be open to a trial run. I said yes. Then drove home and cracked a beer. That night, I looked at my old company's website. New name. New logo. Still no heart. They'd posted some video of Caleb giving a mission statement. All buzzwords. No backbone. I turned it off. Wrote a different mission statement. 2 words. Earn everything. And I meant it. Because I wasn't done. Not even close. They had no idea I was coming. Not a clue. While they were busy trying to repair their brand with Canva templates and discount SEO, I was booking jobs through referrals, shaking hands in real hardware stores, and showing up, early, with solutions. And every time I got a new client, I'd ask them the same thing. "Who did you use before?" Half the time, they said my kid's company. The other half, they said, "We didn't know you were still around." I just smiled and said, "Oh, I never left. Just got quiet." Then I left them with a perfect install, a lower invoice, and a business card that looked nothing like the garbage my kids were mailing out. It took 3 weeks before I started seeing the signs. Their trucks parked for days. Website updates slowing down. A couple of their Yelp reviews quietly disappearing. And then the big one. I got a call from one of their commercial clients. A big name. An office park I used to service years ago before they handed it off. The building manager was fed up. "They no-showed twice," he said. "Think you could take a look?" I said, "Be there in an hour." When I pulled up, their branded van was still parked in the lot. Empty. I walked in. Fixed the issue in under 30 minutes. Took pictures. Documented everything. Then I left my business card on the front desk. Right next to theirs. Same last name. Different reality. A week later, Caleb called. "Did you poach the Brookfield account?" I didn't answer right away. He asked again, louder. "They called me," I said. "You know that was under contract with us." "No, son. It was under contract. Until you broke it." He was breathing heavy now. "You can't just steal our clients." I didn't steal anyone. They asked for better work. I said yes. "You're trying to sabotage us." "No. I'm just doing the job right. You remember that, don't you?" He hung up. But I could tell I hit something. The next phase was harder. Tighter. I had to be smart. If I went too fast, they'd catch on. If I went too slow, they'd recover. So I started targeting the vendors. Quietly. Strategically. There's one big supplier in our region. Not glamorous, but they make or break small shops like mine. Caleb had been late paying them 3 times in the last quarter. I called their regional manager. Introduced myself. He said, "Wait, you're Dawson." "Still am." He laughed. "You're the one with the retro heat exchanger design." "That's me." "You still pay on 30 days?" "Try 7. He gave me a better rate than what my kids were paying. By the time they found out, their next shipment was delayed. I didn't cause it. I just benefited from it. I hired 2 more techs. One used to work for Lily. He showed up with his own van and toolbox. Said, she stopped caring. Meetings every week. No tools in her hands anymore. I gave him a patch with my company's name. Told him to sew it on himself. Why? He asked. So you remember who you're working for. My wife kept asking when it would stop. When will you be satisfied? I told her the truth. I don't want revenge. I want correction. They'll never admit they were wrong, she said. Doesn't matter, I told her. They'll feel it. Then it happened. I got invited to speak at a regional trades conference. Not just attend, headline. They were featuring legacy innovators in the small business space. And I was top of the list. Topic: How to build a company from nothing, twice. I accepted. Quietly. Didn't post it. Didn't email anyone. Didn't say a word. Until I got a text. From Lily. Hey. Did you get invited to Tri-State HVAC Expo? I waited an hour before answering. Yes. She replied 5 minutes later. We're not invited. I just sent a thumbs up emoji. Same one I used when they changed the locks. Then I put the phone away and got back to work. 3 nights later, I heard they lost another contract. A big one. Retirement community, 65 units. Management dropped them after too many delays and mistakes. Guess who got the callback? I walked the site myself. The lead manager was an older guy. Navy vet. Firm handshake. You the real Dawson? He asked. Only one left, I said. He laughed and handed me the job. That project alone would cover my expenses for the next 6 months. I drove home, pulled into the driveway, and just sat in the truck for a while. Head back. Eyes closed. Listening to the engine tick as it cooled. That's when my phone rang again. It was Caleb. I didn't answer. I already knew what he wanted. Help. Advice. Maybe even money. But this time, I wasn't picking up. Because the supplier from Tokyo was calling next. And I hated being late. It started with the billboard. Small. Local. Just off Route 39, between the gas station and the lumber yard. Nothing flashy. White background. Simple text. Dawson fixes it right. EST 1981. Rebuilt 2023. And underneath that, my new company name. Same last name. Different legacy. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. Not even my wife. Just called the print shop, paid up front, and picked the location myself. It went up on a Monday. By noon, I had 6 missed calls from Lily. Then Caleb texted. What the hell is that? I didn't respond. Tuesday, the billboard made the local paper. Old school, new brand, Earl Dawson returns with a vengeance. The headline said it all. I didn't write it. Didn't need to. The article told my story. Talked about how the business was transitioned to the kids, how I quietly stepped away, and how I'd come back swinging. No bitterness. Just facts. Just quotes. They printed my original business logo next to the new one. Side by side. That alone must have ruined Caleb's week. Wednesday, I pulled up to a hardware store to drop off inventory. Manager met me out front. You've got a fan club, he said. What now? He pointed to the corner of the lot. 3 people standing there, holding clipboards, watching me load boxes. I recognized 2 of them. They used to work with my kids. Marketing side. I walked over. Something I can help you with? One of them blinked, caught off guard. We're just doing some research. Looks like spying from where I'm standing. They shuffled awkwardly. Didn't deny it. You can tell Caleb, I said, if he wants to know how I'm doing it, he should have paid more attention the first time. I turned, walked back to my truck, and drove off. Smiling the whole way. Thursday came the real hit. The exclusive deal. See, while they were begging suppliers for more stock, I'd been negotiating with a mid-sized distributor out of Louisville. Good people. Grew up in the business. The owner's father actually used to compete with me in the 90s. We laughed about it over coffee. Always wondered how you kept your trucks running that long, he said. Grease, wire, and bad decisions. He offered me a contract, 2 years, guaranteed shelf space in 18 stores, and first position on seasonal promotions. All I had to do was agree to limit competitors in the region. I asked him to define competitors. He just looked at me and smiled. Friday, Caleb showed up at the garage. No text. No call. Just walked in like he still had keys. He didn't. Dad, we need to talk. You always say that. I'm serious. So am I. He walked over to the bench. Picked up one of my demo units. Turned it over in his hands. I didn't know it was this good. Maybe you weren't looking. He set it down. Finally met my eyes. We're struggling. I didn't say anything. I know we screwed up. I still didn't say anything. He shifted his weight, trying to soften his tone. You don't have to crush us. I poured myself a coffee. I'm not trying to crush you, son. Then what are you doing? I took a sip. Winning. He flinched. Just a little. Then he said something that almost made me laugh. You're embarrassing us. I set the mug down. No, Caleb. You did that all on your own. Later that night, Lily emailed me. Subject line, we need to talk. Message was longer. Rambling. Said she felt like I was making this personal. Said I was throwing away decades of family loyalty. That one made me stop. Because I threw it away. I sat there for a good 5 minutes, just staring at the screen. Then I replied with one sentence. Family doesn't lock you out. Sent it. Shut the laptop. Went to bed. The next week, I doubled ad spend. Billboards. Flyers. Sponsored posts. Not loud, but steady. Focused. Regional. Everywhere they turned, they saw my name. My brand. My face. I even bought a radio spot. Ran it during morning traffic. Friendly voice. Strong message. Need it fixed right? Call the one who's been doing it since before Google existed. The phone rang non-stop that day. 3 contracts. 4 repair calls. And 1 request from a property manager to replace a failed system the new Dawson crew messed up. I said I'd be there first thing tomorrow. Then I opened a letter from the IRS. Guess who forgot to file their quarterly tax estimate? Not me. I smiled, folded the paper, and pinned it to the board. Next to a photo of the first invoice I ever wrote. Handwritten. $42 for a water heater valve. Sometimes revenge isn't fire and brimstone. Sometimes it's structure. And patience. And competence. But don't worry. The fire was still coming. Monday. I waited until the Monday after Easter. Timing matters. People are slower coming out of holidays. Tired. Off their rhythm. Which meant Caleb and Lily wouldn't see it coming. At 9 a.m. sharp, the first shipment rolled out. New packaging. New branding. Same name they tried to bury. I'd inked the deal 3 weeks earlier. A chain of regional supply centers, 12 total, agreed to carry my full product line. They weren't just stocking it. They were featuring it. End caps. Email campaigns. Even in-store demos. By noon, I had 47 new orders. By 3 o'clock, I had 116. And at 3:12 p.m. Lily finally called. I didn't answer. At 3:15, Caleb called. Twice. I still didn't answer. I wasn't done yet. At 3:30, I uploaded the final ad. A 60-second spot. Simple. Direct. Black screen. My voice. You can steal a name. You can fake a mission. But you can't copy experience. I'm Earl Dawson. I built this. And I'm not done. Fade in, the original company logo, my logo, next to the new one. Then just 5 words. Dawson fixes it right. It went live across all local media. TV. Radio. YouTube pre-roll. Everywhere they were trying to be. I was already there. 5 hours later, the cracks started showing. An old tech friend messaged me. Your kids just slashed their service rates online. Looks desperate. Then I heard from Rosa. They just laid off 3 admin staff. One of them cried on the way out. By the next morning, I was getting messages from their clients. Not new ones. Old ones. The ones who remembered me. Trusted me. One woman wrote. We thought you retired. Please come fix what they broke. So I did. And while I was replacing a condenser unit on a duplex, Caleb pulled into the driveway. He didn't look angry this time. He looked wrecked. Eyes bloodshot. Tie crooked. Hands trembling as he got out of the car. Dad, please. That's all he said. I wiped my hands, nodded at the tenant to give me a minute, and walked over. We're gonna lose everything. I nodded again. We have no backup. No payroll. No vendors left. Still nodded. Then he said it. You win. And for a second, I almost let it go. Almost. But then I remembered the locks. The Thanksgiving dinner. The business magazine that cut me out of my own life. So I looked him straight in the eye and said. No, son. I haven't even started. Back at the garage, I had a meeting lined up. Investor. Smart guy. Wanted to license part of my product for use in smart home systems. Said it was the missing piece. He asked me how I beat my competition so fast. I told him the truth. I knew their weak spots. Because I taught them everything they know. He laughed. Said I should write a book. I won't. Because everything you need to know is right here. Don't burn the bridge you crawled over. 2 days later, Lily showed up. Tears in her eyes. Holding a notebook full of numbers and a folder of printed bank statements. I don't know how to fix this. She sat on the porch steps like she used to when she got in trouble in high school. Back then, it was over a speeding ticket. Now it was over a failing company. I thought I was doing the right thing, she said. You thought I wouldn't notice, I said. She shook her head. No. I thought you wouldn't care. That one hit. But I didn't show it. Instead, I asked. Why are you here? I don't know. Yes, you do. She looked up. I want your help. And there it was. The line I'd waited almost 2 years to hear. I told her I'd think about it. And I meant it. Because I wasn't here to save them. I was here to show them what it cost to write off the man who built the road they're now stranded on. I didn't scream. Didn't rage. Didn't slam any doors. I just showed up. Every single day. And I never stopped building. The locks are back to normal now. Not that anyone uses them. Nobody visits. Not anymore. The last time Caleb showed up, he didn't knock. Just stood in the driveway, staring at the garage door. I stepped out and waited. He looked thinner. Tired. Shirt wrinkled, sleeves rolled to the elbow like he was halfway through quitting something. "You were supposed to teach us," he said. I tried. "You didn't have to make it public. You didn't have to make it personal." He didn't argue. Just stood there, like maybe I'd say something softer. Something fatherly. I didn't. Eventually, he left. I haven't seen him since. Lily still sends emails. Monthly. Like a newsletter no one subscribed to. Updates. Regrets. Hints. She wants to meet. Talk things over. I haven't replied. Not out of spite. Just peace. Silence suits me now. Business is steady. Simple. Mine. I wake up before the sun. Make real coffee. Ship orders. Answer questions. Train the young guys right. The way I wish someone had trained them. I eat dinner with my wife. We laugh more now. I think she's relieved. Not because I won. Because I stopped waiting to be invited back. Last week I pulled out the shoebox again. The one with the old service slips. Junk mail with scribbled notes. My first client still lives in the same house. They sent me a Christmas card this year. Said they saw the ad on Route 39. Said it made them smile. Funny how things come around. Funny how people remember. There's an empty chair at the Thanksgiving table again. Same one they moved all those months ago. I didn't fill it. Didn't mention it. Just looked at it once and kept eating. My wife noticed. She reached over and touched my hand. That was enough. The supplier from Tokyo called again yesterday. Wants to talk expansion. Licensing. Even a possible buyout. I told him I'd think about it. Then I poured myself a drink, sat back in my chair, and looked at the photo on the wall. The original crew. Me. My tools. The truck with my name on it, my name. And I said, to no one in particular. I thought I was too tired to work. A pause. Then a quiet smile. But I'm not tired anymore.